Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Burglars preview, where we're going to go through all the runners, the spuds, all the champions, all the superstars, and we're going to go through them one by one. I'm joined by the big man himself, Nigel Hutton. Welcome, Nigel.
Champion of 2021.
Champion
2020, actually.
I think you'll find, Nigel.
Maybe 2021 as well. First three-time champion.
Himself a rap, Well done, Nigel. Well, we'll talk about that a little later. We're going to start with the Godfather himself, Tim Geary. What do you think, Nigel?
Oh, it'd have to be probably. I'd mark him down in the 50-1 region. Back's an unknown. Whether he can carry his. Well, it's a reasonably light weight he's carrying. Let's be fair. But still not 100% sure that wet tracks are going to suit him.
Mate, I 100% wouldn't have this bloke. He is an absolute chopper. And look, one of the things that I've noticed has gone on with his life this year is he's gone back to some humble roots. He's only living in like a $1.5 million house at the moment. So I think, dealing with that sort of adversity has been real challenging for him. So I just can't see him putting his best foot forward this week. And I agree with you. At least 50 is pretty much write your own ticket. Which brings us to, someone I think should be pretty much the favourite. He's the biggest cheat in the field anyway, or he's got to be close to it, and that's Steve Mitchell, otherwise known as Tin Cup.
Yep.
Your thoughts on him?
I had him marked down as a $1.05 favourite.
He's a moral.
I've got him pretty well as a moral. There's two things that will get in his way. One is whether that beautiful Buffon of his can withstand a bit of wet weather. And he's reasonably well known for his love of champagne enemas. And I'll tell you what, if he gets mixed up too much in those, he's in for a real rough weekend.
Could be an absolute problem, no question. Look, I guess all my notes about him have just been that, he's a driving range star, and can he bring that sort of form to the main track? That's going to be a big question mark. Where's terrible pants. Like, some of his pants have just been really questionable choices. I don't want him to win, and I'm going to be doing everything in my power to make sure he doesn't. So he's also got more handicap than last year, so he's obviously a cheat. So we've got to have a look at that as well. Matty Bell's my next one on the list. And I've sort of gone with, look, I've got to put a line through him. Fantastic bloke. Will bring a lot to the weekend, but it's just not enough shots. If I've looked at his scores last year, and if we had a gentleman's 8, I think his score would actually improve by about 30 shots around. So I find
you have 160.
I find that quite fascinating. He's had 146 in the last round, and I'm like, don't we have a gentleman 10 rule? Does no one tell him? And he's had a couple of 20s, but he's just been consistently poor. So can't have him for me. 150-1.
Yeah, look, he does bring a lot to the trip. His golfing ability is not some of that.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about how many piss stops it's going to take us to get back down the coast from Brookwater. Yeah. I think it could turn a 45-minute trip into 2.5 hours plus. Absolutely. But he'll make it fun. That's for sure.
No, but on the golf side, I think we'll put a line through him, and probably another bloke I'd love to put a line through, probably can't next, is Nigel Hutton. Handicap being a big problem for this runner this year. Massive. Last year, ran off 10 3 times, 3 10s of 30. This year, 3 6s of 18. That's 12 shots, people at home. Absolute disaster for him. He's playing far too much. He's obviously putting a lot of work in, but he's still an angry man who chucks a lot of wedges. That's really what I've got written down. So, Nigel, what do you think about this bloke?
He's no chance. He's got absolutely no pressure on him this weekend. He's just going to free range, just float about, do his thing. Doesn't mind Brookwater though, which is probably a bit of an anomaly in this field.
You are kidding. All the saying all week is 4 left. No, you're no show, mate. The only thing that makes you an actual chance is the fact that no one else is any good. That's the one thing you've got in your favour. But outside of that, I'm not having you. I've probably got you in the 7-1 range, and that's, as I said, only because there's no one you're running against. Next on my list, I've got the British bombshell Dino. Serious contender for mine. What do you think?
Well, look, he went pretty close last year, and then got caught up in the Mitchell show on the Saturday night and sort of faded a touch. Was a real chance. He's a Liverpool fan, so he may get fucking murdered on the first night.
I'm going to add a bit of 1,000 to him. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Nothing. I didn't know that.
And,
That's news to me. I didn't get that in my research.
this Bring Your Own Red. I don't know where he's going to get his cask from, but I don't think he's going to have too many people sharing that.
He'll be bringing a box. Yeah, look, obviously for me, and he's probably a bit too handsome for this group as well. I don't, like these blokes that are good looking and whatnot. It's just not what we're about. So just like the Melbourne Cup, the British Raiders, you've got to give them a bit of respect because you don't know exactly how they're going to run. But I don't expect a hell of a lot from him. But, again, probably by the fact that no one else is going to try, and he's definitely going to try and win. So that's a big plus for him.
Yep.
The big Porky Machine I've got next, and all I've written in my notes is Porky Machine knows a lot about grass.
That he does. He knows a lot about grass, and he knows a lot about flashing lights, particularly of the poker machine variety.
If he gets a jackpot on the first night, I don't know if that's going to help or hinder his golf.
He's in all sorts of trouble. Him and his mate from Bush, who's been on his macadamia farm all this time. If they get a couple of jackpots, we won't see them for the weekend, especially with the big casino around the corner.
Didn't he send a message the other day at like 10:30 in the morning saying I've just picked up 1,500 on a pokey?
Yeah,
is that a red flag for anyone? Does that sort of ask some questions? I'm just not sure.
But, the one thing about the big fella is that when he decides to turn on a bit of a game of golf, he can do just that. Or he can play. No, he doesn't have his name on the trophy for no reason.
He's the best single figure handicapper I've ever seen off 20. Don't worry about that.
That's right.
Look, so for me, next on my list, we've got the Red Nut playing off early 30s. He was a huge contender in 2020, nearly went all the way. I understand it was a last hole meltdown that caused most of his problems. Just the question, I suppose, is what's he been doing since last year to maintain that momentum and bring it into this year?
Picking macadamias, I assume.
That's exactly what I mean. Chipping around macadamia nuts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, man, you don't know what's going on up there on the farm, but he was seriously in the mix last year, and then put the old gas mask on, and that was the end of him. And that was in the wedding, mind you.
But you've got to lose one to win one. And, there are some wet conditions ahead. These farmer blokes will probably come into their own. They love it when it rains. And, I'd put him in the top 4 or 5 chances, if you ask me. Still got a massive handicap. It's probably just going to come down to effort. Will he put any in? And if he does, it could be very strong.
Sort of bloke who plays pretty well once he gets on the cans too. So that's pretty handy for a weekend like this.
Well, and, again, we go to another one who's just disappointed us every year, every time we sort of think he might be a chance, and that's Jamie Cooper, who just doesn't ever perform. Like, he never bring, you sort of think he's going to bring something to the table, all the practice, all the good stuff. He's got the kit. He's got all these good things going for him. In the mounting yard, you'd say he's number one. But then your first swing goes and you go, oh, hang on, this guy's fucking hopeless.
If he's been wound up, like if someone's got in the, wound him up a little bit, like that, you see that swing get like someone's trying to start a chainsaw.
Fantastic bloke. Look forward to seeing him, but I just can't see him. He actually scored the worst 18-hole score of last year, and it was 156. I repeat, we have a gentleman's 10 rule. Max score 180. The maths just about says you can't score that bad, but turns out you can. Absolutely.
Have you seen his bicep too, by the way?
What's going on with it?
Fucked up. His bicep. That's fucked up.
It's horrible. The humanity. But no, so again, another one I'll put the line through. Not going to happen.
Definitely.
Fraser, the doctor's next. Interesting. I've looked at the stats on this bloke and tried to figure out, if he has a chance, because he's off 30 odd and he's a young man. He should be better than he is, really. He's got a bit of a swing about him, but it turns out I looked at last year's figures. He had 99 the first round and then 2 rounds in the 130s to follow. So clearly can't handle his piss. It's quite simple, right?
Oh, I sort of wonder whether just being down the road, whether he packs a couple of IVs for himself to keep himself afloat on the Saturday and Sunday rounds. And
if he does, he could be dangerous, but that's sort of just terrible.
You think a plastic surgeon who spends his life playing with women's fake boobs should be reasonably steady with his hands, but he shakes more than someone with a fucking disease. He's
all doctors just off and play golf all the time during the week anyway. Like he hasn't graduated to that section yet, but yeah, needs a lot of work. I'm disappointed by him every year. I think he should be a lot better. He's a bit like Coops in that regard. So again, for me, forget about him. He'll probably start well. You could put him, in a multi to go well on the first day, but after that, just put a line through him. He's fucking hopeless.
Yep.
Well, not as hopeless would be Jimbo. He's off high 20s, had a podium finish in 2020, came third, bit of a surprise. Weird, watching him in the WhatsApp. He's been trying to talk more shit than Hawko, but that's just a ridiculous thing to try and do. It's just fascinating. Good bloke, should be able to swing it. Again, probably a bloke who should be able to play better, young and athletic fellas like we've got around us, but, isn't really that good.
I'm just not sure he gives a fuck. So I'm not sure that I do either. So let's move on.
Very nice. So I've written no notes next to Hawko because I just think he does it all for himself. Like, what are you supposed to say about this bloke? He's an absolute spastic. He's got, I borrowed Mitchell's clubs. He's fucking, what the fuck's devastated? Is he getting paid to freaking endorse this stuff or what? Like, Instagram fucking Hawkins. Look, I don't know. I've never seen him do anything good ever. Not just talking about golf.
I think he's got one outfit, and he's got a set of clubs from the 40s.
Is he bringing shoes this year?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Like, you just don't play with him.
Again, rain could bring him undone because clearly it sent him home from the job site today, given the amount of shit he talked. So one thing I will say, though, as I did notice in Gary's email telling us where to park tomorrow morning, is that he didn't give us a street number. So maybe he's done that fucking well that he owns the whole street.
Mate, that would not surprise me. These fucking Brisbane builders have just been writing their own ticket for a very, very long time. And his old man runs the fucking some sort of big commission or something. So he's probably getting all sorts of underhanded shit thrown to him. Mate, the whole Hawkins mafia in fucking Western Brisbane is obviously stronger than ever. Actually, on the topic of Western Mafia, and we've got a Swenson family member next up, and pretty famous family in that West Brisbane area. But interesting that he didn't really follow the footsteps of the rest of his family in being normal, and he's just decided that he's going to wear a tin hat and freaking wait for the world, the sky to fall in. So good on him.
I thought you were talking about his talent there, not following the rest of the family.
Possibly.
You just again another bloke with a dodgy rig, despite being a sculpted rig. I'm just not 100% sure how fatherhood is going to have changed this bloke. He could be a chance.
I'll tell you a little something, and Gary was talking to me about it before, that, the heftier blokes in the group tend to just chug along and get it done. And then you got all these freaking blokes going to the gym and whatnot. And what are they doing with themselves? Sore backs, sore vaginas, sore everything. They just got nothing. Just chug along, boys. Just, what was that story that sorry, you go.
There's a reason racehorses earn more than greyhounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably a good point. We're thoroughbreds. Very nice. All right, next on the list, this is an interesting one for me, is Damien McKenzie. Mate, he's down to 6.8. He's lost a shot since last year. He'd hardly played. Just bought 2 brand new boxes of AVXs. He obviously thinks he's half a chance of losing a box of AVXs, half a chance of playing well because he's bought expensive pills. Must be getting paid too much to sling dodgy jumpers. But, mate, for me, I think he should be absolutely in your top picks.
Yeah, I've got him in my trifecta. I think he's well equipped to deal with the Hawkins bullshit.
Yep, actually. Probably thrives on it.
I would have thought that those two would make perfect roommates, to be fair. So to be a fly on the wall in that room, fucking hell. Yeah, no, huge chance. He can shoot 1 over par, or he can shoot 20 over par. It depends on the McKenzie that turns up on the day.
Yeah, beautiful.
Rumor is he hasn't thrown a club in a long time, but I reckon if he's going to go into it, so every chance on a trip like this.
Well, I think from recent times you'd find the rumours are actual bullshit because I guarantee he's thrown a club, and I'd also be pretty comfortable that Munster hasn't thrown one down Anastasia. So here we are. We just have to figure out which one's true and which one's not. Now, speaking of big chances, we'll go to the biggest chance of them all. Shannon Moore's next on the list to be discussed. I'll probably leave it to you if you don't mind.
Oh, look, he's the biggest chance in the place if you ask the man himself. But look, he's on his own track. He doesn't have any more favourable conditions than this. He's in carts. He doesn't have to walk anywhere on his home track. If you want to talk about Mitchell being $1.05 favourite, this bloke is only just behind him at $1.06 or $7. The rumour is that he didn't get my pluck done today because he was doing his own for this year. So that'll be interesting.
No excuses. No excuses as far as I'm concerned for this bloke. He will win, and not just because he's great, but because all you blokes are fucking hopeless and you don't try. So good luck to you all. Next, I've got Andy Garbutt. Pretty short notes on him. I've just written pretty but stupid.
I was going to say probably the most beautiful horse in the field. Well sculpted mane. Probably has a nice shiny coat at this time of year. Just coming into a bit of summer. The sun's out down the Gold Coast. Loves the sun's out, guns out. This is.
I think a big positive for him is probably I think he'll be at least the second best left-hander on the trip. So that's something that he can sort of aspire to.
Yeah. Look, the other thing is that he's been in the paddock for a little while. He's had a bit of a spell, so no one really knows what sort of form he's going to be in. So he could have been doing the Steve Mitchell down the range every weekend. But you just never know with this bloke.
Would not have touched a golf club. Mate, you want to talk about thumbprints on the top of the head, mate. Andy Garbutt has got one the size of fucking Ayers Rock. Don't you worry about that. He's been just doing as he's told very nicely. And don't expect a lot from him, but we will have a bit of fun. There's no doubt about that. Last on my list is young Berkey. A lot of question marks next to him. I haven't seen a lot of his form. I have heard recently from his strapper that he's had a major back injury and will be drugged up, and another back injury. He's not a big fat skinny. He's not a super skinny fit bloke though, so I'm not sure what's happened there, but apparently he's knocked up.
Look, the last time I saw Berkey, he was shitting himself down the aisle of an airplane on the way home from Adelaide. So let's hope that doesn't happen again, buddy.
Yeah, that's not really going to help his game.
No.
But look, that's 16 runners there, mate. We've gotten through them. Again, it's always a tough betting race, but the best thing is that realistically there's only about 4 or 5 people who actually care about winning. So that's a pretty good, gives them a pretty good chance. And, the other 11 are just going to sit there and drink piss and cast aspersions and be nasty. So, let's just see what happens.
Have you got a trifecta and a last place favourite?
Well, look, I'm very comfortable to give you that. So my trifecta in order is Shannon Moore will win. It'll be an absolute runaway. Forget about anyone else. Steve Mitchell will come second, only because he's got an extra shot of handicap. And then I've been tossing up on third a little bit. I'm going to give Nigel Hutton the Basil Brush. I'm going to go with Macca. Off about 7. I think he's dangerous, and I think he can stick it out for the whole thing. Mate, the harder pick is last. It is much, much tougher to pick last than first. It's really, I won't say Hawkins. I'd like to say Hawkins just to piss him off, but it won't be Hawkins because he can actually play.
That didn't actually piss him off either.
Yeah, it probably makes him happy, but it's got to come down really between Belly and Coops and Berkey. Berkey because I don't even think he'll be able to swing a club. Belly because he can't swing a club, and Coops 156 really. But no, look, I'm going to settle on Belly. He's just my favourite, and you get your money back for last. So good luck to all punters.
I'm going to be controversial here, and I'm going to go with Coops for last. Not controversial, but I'll go against you. I'll take Coops for last. I'm going to have Mitchell for first. I think I just don't know what he's been doing down that range, but I've just got a sneaky feeling he thinks he's a real chance, probably a bigger chance than you.
He's not big.
Mate, I'm going to throw Dino in for second, another one. I just don't know about this bloke. He's trying to invite other blokes on the trip. He's sort of sneaking in, doing his thing. I don't know. I just got this feeling that he's got something up his sleeve.
He's going to take it very seriously. There's no question about that.
100%. And then lottery for third, probably Hutton or Mackenzie.
So you've left me out of the trifecta altogether. That's what you're saying. You think I've no chance. Like, you are kidding. All you've done to now is just giving yourself no credibility in this whole thing, and you've wasted this whole video. Unbelievable. Anyway, look, it's all time for us to move on. I hope the boys have enjoyed this. I'll pop it up on the YouTube, on the internet, and we'll see
tomorrow morning.
And after the storm that just went through, it'll be a very wet brookwater at the moment, but it does drain very well. So hopefully we get on and it all goes beautifully.
Yeah, enjoy for most of us, I assume, one sleep left, and probably a couple won't have a sleep tonight, but enjoy it, and see you tomorrow.
See you then.